Hello BookTube. A few days ago, Daniel of Guilty Feet made a video called Four Literary White Whales, in which he talked about four books that he really wanted to read but hadn't gotten around to yet. Steve Donahue responded to Daniel's video and gave four upcoming releases that he considered forthcoming white whales, and he invited everybody else to make a similar video. So this is my response. So what are my four literary white whales? By which I mean what four works do I really want to read but haven't gotten around to yet? So I think most people's responses will probably be some form of or some assortment of classic or canonical works. That's not going to be my answer because right now I'm not all that interested in classics or canonical works. Steve also mentioned another option being for works that have been languishing on your shelves for years, and I guess I could do that. I could pick a book from my history wall that I really want to read, and volume of manga that I really want to read, and then try to rack my brains over what I would like to read from the other sections of my library. But I'm going to go with Steve, and I'm going to select some forthcoming releases. Now, I have four history books on pre-order that I'm tempted to go with, but the more I think about it, the more I realize that it might be a while before I get to them. And while drawing inspiration from Moby Dick, it's sort of like they're books that you really want to read, but for whatever reason, you just never quite get there. So, in a way, that could work for these four books because I don't know when exactly I'm going to get to them. I mean, they'll be out in the next, most of them are actually later on in the year, so it will be months before I even get to them, and then I might not even get them until sometime next year or longer, depending, because sometimes it does take me a while to get around to books, even new releases. But then I'm thinking, if we're going with the Moby Dick thing, Captain Ahab is rather passionately obsessed with that whale, so I should pick something that I'm a bit more passionate about. And right now, that's not exactly history, which those four books are. So I'm thinking, what else do I have? And that led me to manga, because I am far more passionate about manga right now than I am anything else. And I think for a while, or let me rephrase it, and for a while now, when I talk about manga in my weekly reads, I'm far more passionate about those books, those volumes, than I am anything else. So I think forthcoming manga releases are appropriate, especially given that I will likely read these four volumes immediately after I get them, or once I finish up whatever I'm reading at the time, as I did this past week with volume 22 of Eden Zero and volume 1 of Demons of the Shadow Realm. Speaking of which, both will be making appearances. So, what are my four current literary white whales? Since obviously once I read them, I'll have to get moving on to four more. But anyway, this is one of those situations where, for me at least, the list is fluid. But anyway, so obviously I don't have the 4 books, and I'm not going to pull up the images because that's a pain. So I'm just going to show the first volumes of each series. Although I will put the correct volume number in the show notes, along with Steve and Daniel's videos. Anyway, okay, so first up is Eden Zero Volume 23 by Hiro Mashima. As I've said over the past few years, Hiro Mashima is one of my favorite manga creators. And Eden Zero, his most recent work, his current work, is a favorite of mine. I've been reading this series for quite a while now. I'm caught up, and I'm really excited for Volume 23. For those of you who don't know, Eden Zero is a shonen manga series. It's about a young man named Shiki who grew up on a tourist planet populated by robots. One day, a young woman named Rebecca and her Exceed companion Happy come to Granbell to film a video for her BCube channel. The androids appear to malfunction and try to kill Rebecca and Happy. Shiki rescues them and flees the planet with Rebecca and Happy. And together they go on adventures. Their goal is to find the great cosmic goddess mother, or goddess figure Mother. And on the way, they acquire a ship, the Eden Zero, and form a crew. Amongst them is a young version of a young man named Weiss Steiner, Homura, a warrior, as well as the 4 shining stars, sister, witch, hermit, and several others, including former antagonists like Jin and Clean and Laguna, as well as Couchpo, who is a trip. And so they travel across the cosmos, and gradually Shiki realizes and is confronted by the fact that his adoptive grandfather, the android Ziggy, has returned with an anti-human agenda, and he's launched a war of conquest across the cosmos. So Shiki and his crew have been fighting his adoptive grandfather for a number of years after the time skip, and the series is sort of settling on a big conflict between Shiki and his grandfather at the planet Lindard, and I am just loving it. I cannot wait to get volume 23. It comes out at the end of June, and I will read it the moment I get it from Book People. Next up is Jujutsu Kaisen, volume 20 by Gege Akutami. Jujutsu Kaisen is about a high school student named Yuji Itadori who consumes a fragment of an evil sorcerer named Sukuna and is temporarily possessed by this evil sorcerer. There's a hidden society of sorcerers who defend the mundane world from all sorts of supernatural threats, from demons to evil sorcerers, and realizing that Yuji can eat pieces of Sukuna without too much issue, they decide that we'll just let him eat all of the remaining bits of Sukuna so that once they're all in him, we can then kill him. So before this happens, they train him to be a sorcerer, and he gets involved in all sorts of conflicts. I'm not too far into the series. I've only read about the first 5 volumes, but I've loved what I've read. I have, and I'm pretty much 3 volumes away from getting caught up. So by the time volume 20 comes out, I will be caught up with the series because I'm either going to read what I haven't read already of Jujutsu Kaisen this month. It will be at the beginning of June. So, and I'm looking forward to it because I've loved what I've read so far. This is an amazing series. Next up is volume 18 of Tolepao Hanako-kun by AidaIro. This has become one of my favorite manga series. It's about a young woman named Nene who goes to a very haunted school in Japan. She is told that if she goes to a specific stall, performs a set ritual, she'll be able to summon the spirit known as the Tolepao Hanako-san and be granted a wish. Nene goes to the stall, performs the ritual, and summons Hanako-san. However, unlike the traditional form of this myth, this particular Tolepao Hanako-san is the ghost of a young man. And with the Japanese sort of honorific system, would be more appropriately Hanako-kun, hence the title, Tolepao Hanako-kun. So Hanako-kun, Amane, grants Nene her wish. It goes poorly, and Hanako Amane rescues her, and in exchange for Nene becoming his assistant, initially by just cleaning his toilet stall, but later aiding him in his duties, regulating the relationships between the living and the supernaturals at the school. There are seven school mysteries, of which Amane is the seventh. It has a regulatory authority over the other six. Joining Amane and Nene in their adventures is a young trainee exorcist named Ko, who initially tries to exorcise Amane but becomes close friends with the two, in opposition to his older brother, who really does not like supernaturals, and he is quite the prodigy exorcist. So, one thing bedeviling Amane is that there are forces at the school manipulating the other supernaturals, making them more malevolent, more malicious, more dangerous. And this sort of force, this faction, is revealed to be the ghost of Amane's twin brother, Tsukasa, who is a little shit, and the members of the school broadcasting club, who are changing the rumors, the stories told about the various supernaturals at the school. And so the series is sort of that conflict, as well as other supernaturals having their own agendas, including Amane himself. I love this series. I am really looking forward to volume 18. I want it now, but I'm going to have to wait until sometime in July to get it, because I think it comes out in July. Unfortunately, it's a monthly series, and the US release has pretty much caught up with the Japanese release, so the kind of release schedule is kind of a bit further than it would be. So I think there are about only 2 volumes a year. I think so. The volume 19 hasn't yet been put up for pre-order, but the moment it comes up, I'll pre-order that too. But for now, I am really looking forward to volume 18 of Tolepao Hanako-kun. And that leads me to my most recent fave, a book that I just got in earlier this month, and it came out at the end of April, but it usually takes a bit before I get them in because I pre-ordered this one from Pals. Although I'm pre-ordering volumes 2 and 3 from Book People, and I'll talk a bit about that in my May book haul. But anyway, so number 4 is Demons of the Shadow Realm, Volume 2 by Hiromu Arakawa. Hiromu Arakawa is most famous for her manga series Fullmetal Alchemist. So Demons of the Shadow Realm is her current series. It takes place in modern Japan. And it starts in a village out of time. There's a hidden village that has managed to maintain to be sort of in a time bubble, that it hasn't changed in centuries, in 400 years. Although there are contacts with the outside world, but it's not the outside coming in, it's the inside coming out. And one day twins are born, Yuru and Asa. And given a certain prophecy, the twins are treated very differently. Yuru is allowed to roam freely, he's a hunter for the village, while Asa is kept imprisoned. One day, the barrier protecting the village falls, and a commando team from the outside attacks the village. Leading this attack is a woman who looks remarkably like Asa and claims that she is the real Asa, while the Asa that has been imprisoned for years is an imposter. The goal of the attack is to capture Yuru and slaughter the village. The later part of the plan kind of sort of works. Most of the village is destroyed, but Uru manages to escape and flees to the outside world with the help of a trader who works to protect the village from the outside and his assistant. Yuru also gains the loyalty of two demons, right and left, who had for centuries guarded the village. And so Yuru is out in the real world, trying to navigate what's going on, figuring out who this Asa is, where his parents are, what's going on, that sort of thing. And it was amazing. I loved this volume, and I cannot wait for volume 2. And I've got to wait till September. So annoying. So annoying. But anyway, so those are my 4 literary white whales. I cannot wait to get them and to read them, and I'm going to have a blast doing it. So anyway, BookTube, that's what I got for today. I will be back tomorrow with a book tag, and then on Friday I might do another tag or something during the afternoon, and then of course weekly reads in the evening. So until then, BookTube, thank you. Have a great afternoon and stay safe.